The monster in the tank, the stars outside the window of Sigma Vault 9 blinked like dying candles. The station was cold, quiet, and nearly forgotten by the rest of the galaxy. Inside, the air smelled of old wires, oil, and something else. Fear. Jack Renner stepped off his transport ship, boots hitting the metal floor with a heavy thud. He was just a mechanic, a human, one of the few allowed to work in alien-run space. He didn't ask questions. He just fixed broken things and moved on. But this time, something felt different. The alien officer who greeted him didn't make eye contact. He handed Jack a data pad and said in a low voice, "You fix power core. Nothing else. No wandering. No talking. Finish fast." Jack nodded, but his eyes scanned the dark hallways. He had worked on over 100 stations, but never felt such tension before. As he worked on the core system in the lower deck, the lights flickered. The air grew colder. A low hum echoed through the wall behind him. It wasn't part of the power system. Curious, Jack followed the sound. It led him to a sealed hallway. A warning sign blinked. Restricted zone, genetic research lab. His ID card shouldn't have worked, but it did. Someone wanted him to enter. Inside, the room was dark except for one giant tank in the center. It was filled with a thick, blue liquid. Floating inside was a girl. She didn't look fully human. Her skin was pale with a faint silver glow. Her eyes were closed, but strange marks ran down her cheeks like faint tattoos. Wires and tubes connected her to machines that beeped quietly. Jack stared in silence. He checked the files on a nearby console. The log said, Subject 7X, termination scheduled, 12 hours. Underneath, a note, too unstable, too monstrous, destroy before activation. He read more. She was created using alien DNA and something unknown. Her mind was still growing. She had never spoken, never seen sunlight. She had never even opened her eyes. She wasn't dangerous. She was just unfinished. Jack stepped closer. The girl's fingers twitched. Her eyes moved under her lids. She was alive. He whispered, "What did they do to you?" A recording started to play. Alien voices argued. One said, "She could destroy everything if she wakes." Another said, "She is a mistake. Kill it now." But one voice, a calm, tired one, said, "Or maybe, she is the future." Jack looked up. The girl's eyes opened. They glowed softly. Not with rage, not with evil, just confusion, fear. She pressed her hand against the glass. Jack's heart thudded in his chest. She was real. Not a monster. Not a threat. Just a girl. And they were going to kill her. He tapped the console. Systems locked. Security engaged. He couldn't open the tank without triggering alarms. He heard footsteps outside. Guards. He had stayed too long. Jack backed away, hiding behind the console. The guards passed the door, not looking in. He waited, breathing slow. When it was safe, he looked at the tank again. The girl had fallen asleep or maybe gone back into the strange half-dream she lived in. Jack looked at the countdown. 1 hour, 42 minutes left. He made a decision. He connected his portable device to the console. It would take time, but he could. Override the lock. He would come back tonight, when the station was asleep. As he turned to leave, he glanced back one last time. Her hand was still against the glass. Jack whispered, "I'm getting you out of here." Then he walked out. Outside the lab, the station buzzed with silent alarms. Somewhere in the shadows, a hidden watcher activated a screen. A pair of alien eyes watched Jack's every move. A voice hissed, "The human has seen her, we must prepare." Escape from Sigma Vault 9 had always been silent. But tonight it was watching. Surveillance drones hovered like ghosts through the upper halls. Security AI scanned every corner. Somewhere in the control center, a shadowy figure traced Jack Renner's path on a glowing screen. "The human knows," the alien commander growled. He's seen the asset. Activate protocol red dust. At the same time, deep below in the restricted genetic wing, Jack Renner moved like a thief in the dark. He wasn't a soldier. He wasn't a spy. He was just a man who saw something no one else dared to see. A girl, not a monster. A life, not a threat. Now he had less than 4 hours to save her. The lab security door hissed open. Jack slipped in, carrying a stolen toolkit and his own override device. He had rewired half the station just to disable the auto-termination code. His hands moved fast, but his mind raced even faster. What am I doing? Why am I risking my life for someone I don't know? Then he looked at the girl in the tank. Her name wasn't in the files, not even a number that felt human. But she wasn't a number to him anymore. She was alive. As he hacked the tank's control panel, alarms triggered somewhere else on the station. His heart jumped. Red lights flashed across the walls. Damn it, they found me. He didn't stop. The tank made a deep humming sound. The liquid inside started draining slowly. Then the girl's eyes opened again. No fear this time. Only awareness. Her fingers flexed. The blue liquid reached her knees. Tubes detached with soft clicks. The tank opened with a hiss. She stepped out. Her legs shook. She could barely stand. Jack rushed forward and caught her before she fell. Her skin was cold. Her eyes, glowing softly like twin stars. She whispered, "Who are you?" Jack froze. "You can talk?" The girl nodded slowly. "Just learned from your mind." He stared at her, confused. "You read my mind?" She touched his chest lightly. "You're kind. You were the first." Jack wanted to ask more, but the door behind them exploded open. Security drones swarmed in, firing electric pulses. Jack grabbed his plasma cutter and pulled her behind cover. "Stay close," he yelled. The girl didn't hide. She stepped forward, hands raised. The drones froze mid-air. Their lights dimmed. Then they dropped to the ground, dead. Jack blinked. "How did you—" She looked at her hands. "I don't know." Jack knew one thing. They had to run. Now. They made their way through the maze of the lower station, alarms blaring in every direction. Jack led her through maintenance shafts, hidden doors, and abandoned cargo holds. Behind them, alien guards followed. One of them barked orders into a comlink. "The creature is loose. Shoot on sight. The human is with her. Both are targets." From above, the AI voice echoed, "Warning. Breach in Sector 9. Dangerous entity has escaped containment. Initiate full lockdown." Doors slammed shut across the station. Lights turned red. Gas began hissing into the vents. "They're gassing us." Jack coughed. "This way." He pulled her into an airlock chamber, but the exit door wouldn't open. Jack hit the controls. Come on, come on." The girl stepped forward again. Her eyes flashed brighter. The door sparked, then opened. "How are you doing that?" he asked. She looked scared. "I'm not sure. It just happens." "Well, keep happening," he said, helping her out into the docking bay. They reached Jack's old ship, a rusted scout craft named Whisper. It wasn't fast, it wasn't strong, but it had something better. Jack's upgrades. He pushed her inside. "Strap in. We're leaving." As he powered up the engines, the hangar doors opened, and so did the floor panels. 4 attack drones hovered out, weapons locked. "We don't have time for this," Jack said. The girl stood, arms out. A ripple of energy pulsed from her body. The drones stopped in place, frozen. Then they exploded in midair. Jack looked at her, stunned. "Are you sure you're not dangerous?" She looked away. "I don't want to be." The ship took off, blasting into the stars. But as they reached orbit, another ship appeared. Dark, silent, massive. An alien warship. They had been waiting. Jack shouted, "Hold on!" The Whisper jumped to light speed just in time, but not before. The enemy ship tagged them with a tracker. Back on Sigma Vault 9, the alien commander stared at the empty tank. "She's gone," a cold voice responded through the comlink. "Then begin the hunt and bring me the human, alive." Far away in the speeding ship, Jack and the girl sat in silence. "What's your name?" he asked. She paused, then whispered, "I don't have one." Jack thought for a moment, then smiled gently. "How about Rhea?" She smiled for the first time. "Rhea," she repeated. "I like it." Outside the window, the stars stretched and bent as they disappeared into the dark. They were running, and the galaxy had just lost its most dangerous secret. The ones who made her, the stars outside the window, no longer looked beautiful. They looked like eyes. Watching. Jack Renner leaned against the cold wall of his ship, eyes half closed, trying to stay awake. His body was tired, but his mind refused to rest. The girl, no, Rhea, was asleep on the other side of the small cabin. For now, she looked peaceful. But he had seen what she could do. The way machines died near her. The way her eyes glowed, like something ancient. She wasn't just a lab project, she was something else, and Jack needed answers. The ship drifted in the shadow of a dead planet, hiding from the trackers still following them. No signals, no movement, just silence and cold. Jack opened the data core he had stolen from Sigma Vault 9. Inside were files, corrupted, hidden, and encrypted. But one video survived. He played it. A room appeared. Bright lights. Alien scientists. In robes circled a floating orb. Inside it was her. A younger version of Rhea, smaller, not moving. One of the scientists, a tall, four-eyed being with a trembling voice, spoke into the recorder. "Project X7 has reached emotional phase, but his results are unstable. We don't know what she's bonding with. She doesn't respond to our language, but she reacts to human speech, English. Somehow, she understands it better than us." The screen glitched. Another clip loaded. We traced her unknown DNA. It matches no species in our database, nothing in this galaxy, not even in the Black Archive. Someone, or something, left this behind before we even existed. Then silence. Then screaming. The final frame showed the lab in chaos, broken glass, dead bodies, and one blurry shadow walking through fire. The video ended. Jack sat frozen. The words echoed in his mind. "Not from this galaxy. Understands English. Walked through fire." Rhea stirred. Her eyes opened slowly. Jack turned toward her. "Do you remember any of it?" She looked away. "Flashes, dreams, fire, voices that weren't mine. They made you," Jack said. "But they didn't understand you. Maybe they were scared." She nodded. "Everyone's always scared." Then something changed. Her face stiffened. "They're here." Jack stood. "Who's here?" Before she could answer, alarms blared. An alien ship dropped from light speed and no warning, no signal. A stealth craft, black as space, faster than anything Jack had seen before. "How the hell did they find us?" Rhea whispered. "They never stopped watching." Jack grabbed the controls, but it was too late. The enemy ship fired a magnetic pulse. The whisper shut down. Dead in space. A voice boomed through their comms. "This is the Dominion of Kaldrax. Surrender the asset. The human will not be harmed. If he cooperates." Jack turned to her. "They're calling you an asset. You, okay with that?" She looked down. "No." Then she stood, and everything in the ship trembled. The enemy ship sent a boarding team. 3 tall armored aliens stepped into the whisper, weapons raised. Jack stepped forward. "You'll have to go through me." They didn't even speak. But before they could fire, the lights in the ship went black. A low hum filled the air. Then, silence. Their weapons melted in their hands. One of them screamed. His armor cracked from the inside. And then they dropped, unconscious. Maybe worse. Jack looked at Rhea. She hadn't moved. Her eyes were open, glowing brighter than ever. She whispered something in a language Jack didn't understand. The walls of the ship remembered it. For a second, Jack thought he was seeing things. The metal bent, shaped itself like it was listening to her voice. Then it stopped. Jack rushed to her side. "What was that? What did you say?" She didn't answer. Her hands shook. "I don't know who I am anymore." After hours of silence, Jack opened a message he had ignored for years. A contact in the Outer Rim, someone who studied alien origins. He sent one line. "I found something that shouldn't exist. She's awake." The reply came fast. "Don't bring her here, don't let her near the core worlds. If you care about life, stay away." Jack stared at the screen. "What are you, Rhea?" But she was asleep again, breathing slow, fragile. Like a child, Jack sat down next to her, unsure if he had rescued a miracle or awakened a sleeping god. Far away in a city floating above a dying sun, the Caldrax High Council watched the footage. One counselor stood. She activated Phase 1, without training, without command. Another hissed. "The humans have always been dangerous. Now they have her." The leader, tall and wrapped in black crystal robes, whispered, "Then it begins. The prophecy was right. The last daughter of the forgotten Starwalkers lives, and she's with him." Back in the ship, Jack checked the map. One place remained, a planet older than records, silent, forbidden. But if he wanted the truth, they had to go there, to the place where Rhea's kind once ruled. He whispered, "We're going to Allaris." The ship turned, and in the dark Rhea whispered the name too, like she had always known it. Allaris. The chase begin space wasn't empty. It was listening. As Jack's ship whisper drifted through the silent dark toward the lost world of Allaris, a signal pulsed from its hull, a signal too small to notice, too ancient to understand. But someone heard it. Someone who had waited a very long time. Jack didn't sleep. He watched the stars, one hand on the flight controls, the other resting near the emergency shutdown. If Rhea's powers flared again, he'd need to act fast. But he didn't want to. She wasn't just a passenger now. She was something else, a presence. Rhea stood silently by the observation window, her glowing eyes reflecting the stars. She hadn't spoken since the incident with the Caldrax boarding team. She just kept whispering to herself in that strange language, the one even Jack's translator couldn't recognize. He finally broke the silence. "What is Allaris?" She turned her head slowly. "Home. But you've never been there. I don't have to. It's inside me." Jack didn't understand, and somehow he knew he wasn't meant to. Not yet. They weren't alone. Behind them, across 4 systems, 3 bounty ships cut through the black, hired by Caldrax. Built for one purpose, retrieval. Their orders were clear. Recover the subject alive. Terminate the human if he interferes. Each ship carried a different kind of hunter. The first was silent, a shapeshifter, already disguised as a traitor on the planet they were approaching. The second flew with a parasite that could corrupt machines, the perfect counter to Rhea's. Energy disruption. The third was empty. It didn't need a pilot. It only needed one command: follow her mind. On the edge of the Sorn Belt, Jack landed the Whisper on a neutral station called Drift Point, a halfway rest before Allaris. It was a ghost town built from scrap and forgotten tech, but it had fuel, food, and a local black market. "Keep your hood up," Jack told Rhea. "We're not here to make friends." But Drift Point was already watching them. The shapeshifter followed silently, changing face 3 times in the first hour. Inside the market, Jack bartered for star maps while Rhea wandered near a row of old books. She touched one. It lit up, glowed, vibrated in her hand. The merchant backed away, terrified. "What did she do?" Jack grabbed her hand. "Time. To go. Too late." A loudspeaker boomed through the station. "Security lockdown initiated. Vessel Whisper has been flagged. Unknown biosignature detected. Remain where you are. Jack pulled Rhea into a narrow corridor. Doors sealed behind them. They found us, he muttered. Again. I felt them before we landed, Rhea said quietly. They want to tear me open. Jack blinked. What? They think I'm hiding something, a map, a key. They don't want me. They want what's inside me. Before he could ask more, the corridor exploded. The parasite ship's hunter had arrived, but it wasn't here to fight with guns. The corridor flickered as the lights dimmed. The station's AI began to scream. Systems turned against themselves. Screens cracked, doors refused to open. Metal bent in unnatural ways. Jack's communicator buzzed. Your ship is mine now, said a voice that wasn't human. You brought her into my net, and you'll both rot in it. But Rhea stepped forward. She placed her hand on the wall, and the corruption stopped. The metal glowed again, but this time in her color. Soft blue light. The station shuddered, then went silent. She had overwritten the parasite, not with violence, with language. The ancient one. Jack stared wide-eyed. You just spoke to the ship. I woke it up, Rhea said. It remembered me. They ran back to Whisper and launched, barely avoiding the collapsing station behind them. A flaming trail followed them into orbit. But just as they cleared the system, the third bounty ship, the silent one, dropped from light speed right in front of them. No pilot, no crew, just an empty craft, and a pulse. Rhea gripped her head, in pain. It's calling me. Can you block it? Jack asked. She screamed. No! Jack made a choice. He overloaded the warp drive. This'll either kill us or save us, he muttered. He hit the switch. The ship blinked out of normal space. They fell into a pocket realm, a broken void between time and stars, a shortcut few ever used. Rhea gasped. We're close, she said. Allaris is near. Meanwhile, on a distant moon, a shadow knelt before the Kaldrax Council. They are heading to the ancient world, the figure said. The High Council's leader stepped forward. If she reaches Allaris, we lose the future, the shadow nodded. Then I will stop her. Back in the ship, Rhea leaned her head on Jack's shoulder, her voice soft. They fear me, Jack replied. Good. Maybe they should. She looked up. Will you fear me too? Jack didn't answer right away. Then whispered, only if you stop being you. What she really is. The ship emerged from the void. No alarms, no warnings. Just silence, and before them, a planet unlike anything in known space. Allaris. It didn't orbit a star. It created its own light. Soft white clouds, glowing rivers of energy that floated in the sky, forests that pulsed like living crystals. But there was something else, too. A feeling. Heavy. Ancient. Watching. Jack sat frozen in the cockpit. He had traveled through war zones, pirate sectors, and black holes. But he had never felt this kind of fear. Not the kind that screamed, but the kind that waited. Rhea stood beside him silent. Her eyes brighter than ever. Her breath slower. It remembers me, she whispered. They landed in a quiet valley, shaped like a spiral, filled with ruins that looked more grown than built. Tall white towers cracked and twisted, as if made from bone and root. Symbols lined the walls, glowing when Rhea walked by. The land responded to her. Jack didn't like it. You've been here before? He asked. Not in body, she said, but in pieces, in dreams. They reached a chamber buried beneath a temple-like ruin. Inside, a floating orb pulsed with a strange light. Around it, dozens of statues, not of gods, but of beings. Each one looked like Rhea. Different faces, different builds, but the same glowing eyes, the same markings. What is this place? Jack asked. A tomb, Rhea said, and a memory. She stepped forward and placed her hand on the orb. The world changed. Jack blinked, and suddenly he was standing on a battlefield. Not in the present, but in a vision. Thousands of Rhea-like beings marched through the stars, tearing through alien empires with light and fire. They weren't evil, but they weren't kind. They were judges. They didn't conquer. They cleansed. Worlds that had gone too far. Civilizations that destroyed life. Systems that enslaved others. The Starwalkers came for them all. And then, they vanished. The vision shifted again. A single survivor remained. A woman holding a glowing child. Her last, words whispered into a crystal. We are not gods. We are warnings. If they wake again, remember, they were made to end things. The woman looked into the camera. She had Rhea's face. Back in the temple, Jack collapsed to the ground, gasping. He looked at Rhea, still touching the orb. Tears running down her cheeks. I'm not human, she whispered. I'm not even born. I was made. I'm a memory built from pieces of a dead race. I'm the last echo of something too powerful to trust. Jack sat beside her. But you're not them, he said. You've made choices. You've shown mercy. You saved me. She shook her head. What if that mercy fades? Suddenly the chamber shook. Dust fell from the ceiling. A cold wind blew in, but it wasn't natural. They weren't alone. Outside, a new ship had landed. Not Caldrax. Worse. The Shadow Envoy, ancient servants of an empire older than the Caldrax themselves, hunters of lost powers, keepers of extinction. Their leader stepped into the light, a tall figure with no face, just a swirling void where eyes should be. You should not be awake, it said to Rhea. You are not life. You are a weapon that forgot its purpose. Jack pulled out his blaster. Stay back. The envoy raised a hand. Jack flew across the chamber, pinned to the wall by invisible force. You are human. You always interfere. Rhea stood between them, her voice steady. I remember you, she said. You betrayed the Starwalkers. You were one of us. I corrected us, the figure replied. We were not made to rule. We were made to erase. And you refused. The ground cracked beneath them. Energy began to build around Rhea. The ruins lit up, responding to her pain. Her fear, the power inside her, not learned but awakened, started to rise. The Shadow Envoy took a step back. There it is, he whispered. The Starbreaker. Jack struggled to move. Rhea, don't. But she wasn't listening. Energy pulsed through her body, lighting the chamber like a storm. The statues cracked, the orb exploded, and the last whisper of the Starwalkers filled the air. We are not meant to live again. And just like that, the light vanished. Rhea collapsed. The envoy was gone. Turned to dust. Jack crawled toward her, heart racing. Rhea, are you? She opened her eyes, not glowing, just human. I stopped, she whispered. I almost didn't. Outside, the valley began to collapse. The ruins sank back into the earth as if ashamed of what had woken. They ran back to the ship, barely escaping the ground splitting behind them. As they lifted off, Rhea watched Allaris disappear beneath the clouds. Now I know what I am. She said, not a girl, not a monster, not a god. She turned to Jack. I'm a decision and someone's going to have to make it. Far away, the Caldrax Council received a message. The Starbreaker is alive. The envoy failed. She knows what she is. The Supreme Commander nodded. Then prepare the fleet. If she rises, we fall. Back on the Whisper, Jack set a new course. So, what now? He asked. Rhea stared out at the stars. We stop running, she said, and we start choosing. Betrayal, in the Void Trust, is a fragile thing in deep space. It floats like oxygen, invisible, precious, and one leak is enough to kill you. Jack Renner had learned this the hard way, but he wanted to believe just once that not everyone was dangerous, that not every voice in the dark came with a knife behind its back. And that mistake would almost cost them everything. The ship whisper was low on fuel and even lower on answers. Rhea hadn't spoken since they left Allaris. She sat near the observation deck, knees tucked to her chest, staring into space. Jack watched her through the reflection in the window. She had stopped glowing. That scared him more than the power ever. They docked at a rogue station floating near the edge of known space, an outlaw city called Kalos Drift, built into the broken husk of a long-dead moon. No laws, no sides. Just deals. Waiting for them was someone Jack once called a friend. Lix Kaller, half human, half Osari, and 100% unpredictable. Rogue pilot, tech genius, professional liar. He greeted Jack with a grin and a slap on the back. "You really did. You woke her up?" Jack nodded, wary. "She's not a weapon." Lix glanced at Rhea and whistled. "She's something, all right." Rhea didn't respond. She didn't trust him. Neither did Jack. But they needed him. His ship, his codes, his knowledge of what lay between the stars. For days, they hid in the underbelly of Kalos Drift while Lix modified Whisper and secured a new warp signature. He joked, laughed, brought food. But Rhea only grew quieter. Then one night she approached Jack and said quietly, "He's lying." Jack frowned. "About what?" She shook her head. "I don't know, I just feel it, like a storm behind his words." That storm arrived 2 nights later. Jack woke to alarms. The ship was locked down. Rhea was gone, and so was Lix. Kalos Drift had no guards, no rules, but it had buyers, and one of them had offered Lix a fortune for the Starbreaker. He had delivered her to a hidden auction beneath the station. A private room lined with armor-clad aliens, each from a powerful empire, each willing to pay for a piece of the galaxy's most dangerous secret. But Rhea wasn't asleep. She let him take her, because she wanted to see it for herself. What betrayal felt like. The bidding began. 1 trillion credits. A fleet of 5 warships. Genetic access to her DNA. The highest bidder was silent. A hooded figure who simply said, "I don't want to buy her. I want to control her." Rhea raised her head and said, "Then come try." The room exploded in light. The walls screamed. The oxygen turned to fire. Only Lix was spared, teleported outside the chamber in a flash of blue energy. The buyers were gone. The auction house collapsed into molten ash. Jack found Lix coughing on the metal floor, terrified. He grabbed him by the collar. "What did you do?" Lix couldn't speak. His hands were shaking. "I didn't know. I didn't think she trusted you," Jack said. "She knew," Lix choked. "She let me do it." And that's when Jack understood. Rhea didn't just destroy her enemies, she was learning how to judge them. He found her standing alone near the docking bay watching the stars. She didn't turn when he spoke. "I'm not angry," she said. "I just needed to feel it. What betrayal tastes like." Jack stood beside her. "And? It's cold, but it makes everything else warmer." He didn't know what to say. So he said the truth. "I almost gave up on you." "I know," she said. "But you didn't." Suddenly her body shivered. A pulse of red light crossed the stars. Far away a beacon had been activated. She clutched her head. "They've summoned the Judicator." Jack's eyes widened. "What's that?" She looked up. The last thing they send before a war. Far across the void, in a dead system called Iskar Prime, a creature rose from deep sleep. Wrapped in metal and silence, it was neither alive nor dead. It was justice, built by fear, powered by the blood of extinct gods. The Judicator. And it had only one target, the one who awakened Allaris. Back in the ship, Jack and Rhea prepared to leave Kalos Drift. Lix, guilt written all over his face, approached, quietly. "I don't deserve forgiveness," he said. Rhea looked at him. You don't get to choose. And then she walked away. The ship launched, leaving Betrayal behind, but not forgotten. Jack looked at her one last time before jumping to warp. You still believe we can fix this? She didn't answer right away, then whispered, only if we survive what's coming. The Starbreaker's choice. The galaxy stood still. No wars, no trade, no movement. Everyone, from the lowest miner on a frozen rock to the highest empress on a golden throne, had heard the same whisper. She is awake. The Starbreaker had returned. Jack Renner stood at the edge of the control deck of Whisper, staring at the approaching storm. It wasn't weather. It was a ship, larger than any structure known to humanity. A black diamond of death that folded space around it. The Judicator. Not a ship. A sentence. A machine built by the ancients to erase impossible things. Living weapons. Rogue gods. Broken timelines. And now it was coming for Rhea. She stood behind. Jack, eyes closed, arms loose by her sides. No fear. No panic. Just silence. I can hear it thinking, she said softly. What's it saying? Jack asked. That I should never have existed. Jack placed a hand on her shoulder. You're not a mistake. She turned to face him. I'm a decision. And now the galaxy wants an answer. Hours earlier, the Kaldrax High Council had broadcast a message across all systems. The Starbreaker has awakened Allaris. The Judicator has been deployed. Do not interfere. Humanity is advised to surrender the asset or be recognized as a galactic threat. Earth never replied, but one small colony, a human outpost near the galactic core, sent their own message. We don't abandon our own. It was simple, and it lit a fire across space. Back in orbit, Jack and Rhea docked on an old Star Watcher station, abandoned centuries ago. It was once a beacon of peace, now dark and hollow. Inside, the final truth awaited. An AI guardian, broken but still aware, activated at Rhea's presence. Its voice echoed through the chamber. Protocol 77B. Identification confirmed. Starbreaker. Code active. Final sequence unlocked. The floor split open, revealing a pool of liquid light. Rhea stepped forward and was pulled into the memory, not hers but the memory of her makers. She saw them again. The original Starwalkers, not warriors, not conquerors. They had been judges of balance. Whenever life tipped too far into cruelty, greed or extinction, they came to restore the scale. But the galaxy grew too loud, too fast, and they faded. All but one. A mother, who created a daughter from fragments of memory, light, and hope. A test, not of power, but of choice. You will wake in a time that has forgotten who we were. They will fear you. They will try to use you. But you are not what they say. You are not what we were. You are what comes next. Rhea gasped as the vision ended. Jack caught her before she fell. What did you see? He asked. She looked up at him with calm eyes. The final key. It's not a weapon. It's a door. To the future they were too afraid to open. Outside, the Judicator arrived. It didn't speak. It declared. A pulse rippled through space. Stars dimmed. Engines failed. Time itself slowed. The galaxy held its breath, and Rhea walked into open space, floating before the machine. Jack screamed from the ship. Don't do this. She looked back. I'm not ending anything. I'm proving I deserve to begin. The Judicator launched its sentence. A spear of antimatter, bright as a newborn star, shot toward her. Rhea didn't block it. She invited it. The energy entered her body, tearing through her like fire. But she didn't scream. She absorbed it. And then something incredible happened. She transformed. Her eyes turned white-hot. Wings of light unfolded from her back. Not literal, but energy and shape. She wasn't Rhea the girl, she wasn't the monster. She was the answer. The Judicator paused. Its systems reported a contradiction. Threat level exceeded. But the target was not hostile. It tried to fire again, but this time she spoke. I am not your sentence. I am your successor. And the Judicator stopped. Its body cracked, then bent, not in defeat, but in submission. It kneeled. Across the stars, ships lowered their weapons. The Kaldrax Council went silent. On 100 worlds, people stared at the skies, feeling something they hadn't felt in decades. Hope. Back on the Whisper, Jack sat quietly as Rhea returned. She was exhausted, pale, human again. He helped her to the seat. You didn't destroy anything. I didn't have to, she whispered. They needed to see that I could, but I chose not to. And that was the choice. Not power, restraint, not revenge, mercy, not fear, hope. Weeks later, the galaxy changed, not overnight, not completely, but enough. The Starbreaker was not hunted anymore. She was invited to speak, to guide, to remind the galaxy what it had almost lost, and what it might still become. Jack stood beside her at every step, not as her protector, but as her proof that humanity, even in its chaos, still had the one thing no empire could program: compassion. On the final day Rhea visited Earth, she stood among children. One asked, "Are you the monster they were all scared of?" She smiled. "No," she said gently. "I'm the reason they're not scared anymore."